Gender Square Island is an island dedicated to equality between the sexes, and it is an area that is just packed with visual literacy. One of the things that we see immediately when looking at this photograph is the linear perspective, and the linear perspective takes our eye to, interestingly, not to the horizon, but to the cross street where we see a tree, an urban tree in a planter, and that takes our eye then up to the sky and widens our view, and we find ourselves then focusing in on the male and female symbols. But we then notice that inside of these two symbols is an equality sign, and with this, the artist is indicating an equality between the sexes that challenges hierarchical paradigms. Now, for the astute viewer, your eye may now even be taken to the image of the woman that sits behind the tree, and perhaps that gives for some a feminine fill. Aleutian Islands are islands where one can find one of the rare places where one can find some really amazing three-dimensional structures of polypeptide chains. And in this image, you can see me looking up at this huge polypeptide chain with some awe. And in fact, this high angle that I've used in this photograph allows me to show the relative scale. And scale is an interesting thing. Arthur Asseberger notes that a change in scale can lead to a change in identity, and certainly nothing could be more true here. Somehow, looking up at a huge polypeptide chain that dwarfs one's avatar leads to an added appreciation for protein structure. With this slide, I hope to turn our attention away from photography for a moment and towards actual three-dimensional building within Second Life. So throughout this summer, I have taken a course offered by Ball State University and in the instructor Sun Queen Ginsberg, who did a phenomenal job of teaching the basic principles of building within Second Life. And though much of it was above my head, I was able to gain the basic idea for how to build, and I put together this set of benches and a table as well as a fruit plate. And what I learned in that process is how visual it is. One simply can't build without learning how to use the camera. And this is something that Sun Queen reminded us of every day, is that camera work is the most important element of building. A table leg, for example, may appear to be connected to the tabletop when you look at a high angle, but if you swing around and look from a low angle, you may suddenly realize that you didn't, in fact, connect your tabletop to your table leg. So the use of camera with the building is very, very important. The other thing that is very huge in Second Life building is texturing. And I spent time when I built this table deciding on the sort of dark and comforting homey wood texture that I gave to these prims. And then of course the colors of the apples and oranges, or apples and bananas, obviously designed to attract the viewer's attention. Arguably one of the most important visual elements within Second Life is actually overall avatar facial expression, body language, overall presentation. So I've chosen this picture because in this picture I am sitting on a beach chair that puts my avatar in an animation. It's called Relaxed 3, and it allows my avatar to go into a relaxed animation, and all of my body language signals that relaxed state. So the choice of animation for the avatar allows for gesture and facial expression. Avatars can be excited, they can be disappointed, or even surprised. For these last couple of slides, we're going to focus on an island called Greenhouse Island, which is a truly beautiful island, but it is also an island that is characterized by a great deal of formality. And in fact, as I looked around Greenhouse Island, I saw a great deal of formal balance. And this picture is a great example of that. You can see that the beach chairs are formally balanced, leading to that sense of formality, sophistication, and elegance. Certainly a very elegant island. In the writings of Rymanowski et al., in their book that is a guide to Second Life, they talk about Greenhouse Island as a place that epitomizes one moment of perfect beauty. And certainly we can't argue that this final picture of Greenhouse Island is that one moment of perfect beauty. In this picture, deep focus draws one's attention to both the flowers in the foreground as well as the trees and sunset in the background. I hope that I have shown that Second Life is a very viable place in which to apply visual literacy principles. In fact, we might even argue that Second Life is an even more visual environment than is our own physical world. But certainly it cannot be argued that Second Life, like all symbols, is a representation of our physical visual world. And it is interesting to note that research done by Crombie in 1996 shows that skills gained within a virtual world do transfer to the physical world. Thus, it seems that visual literacy principles that are applied and learned in Second Life will likely transfer to our physical world. Now for perhaps the most important part of the presentation, and that is to acknowledge the sources that I used for this presentation. Many of these are sources that have become very important part of my experience within Second Life. Others are a very important part of my learning in visual literacy. I'd like to thank all of you for your attention today and hope that you will continue to enjoy your own visual experiences within Second Life or another virtual world.